To our last College Tea Tuesday. Thank you all for being present with us today as we all prepare you for senior year. And we will kick off with introductions from Ms. Gutierrez.
Hi, everyone. Good evening already. It's afternoon. I know y'all are ending the day with us. My name is Ms. Gutierrez. I'm the advisor at De Anza High School. Pronouns she, her, hers.
Hi, everyone. Ms. Rochelle here. I'm the college advisor at El Cerrito High School. I use she, they pronouns.
Hey, y'all. My name is Miss L. I'm the advisor at Hercules High. My pronouns are she, they.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mr. Tony. I'm the advisor at Kennedy High. My pronouns are he, him.
Hey y'all, my name is Ms. Stephanie. I'm the college advisor at Pinot Valley High School, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Hey everyone, my name is Miss Edith, and I'm the college advisor at Richmond High School, and my pronouns are she, her, hers, and then Aya. For our agenda today, we are going to start off with talking about what you could begin doing now. We're going to talk about how the pandemic has impacted admissions, as well as tell y'all how you can get started this summer and go over budgeting resources. And then towards the middle of the presentation, we will also be having a senior panel with current seniors to tell you about their experiences during application season. So for our learning goals, students will understand the current COVID-19 admission policy. Students will learn what steps they must take to prepare for their senior year, and students will learn the potential costs of senior year. So we're going to start off with a quick Mentee. So go ahead and go on mentee.com and put the code 51829780 and answer this question. How are you feeling about applying to colleges next semester? So overwhelmed, tired already, valid. It's been a rough school year. Excited, yes, excited to get started on that next chapter. These are all great ones. All right, we're feeling terrified. It can be like a super overwhelming and hard process to keep track of, so that definitely makes sense. Indecisive, yikes. Yikes indeed. Scared, neutral, horrified, nervous. The biggest one is overwhelmed. Yep. Anxious, all of those things. Yeah, as y'all can see, a lot of y'all have similar feelings towards the application season coming up. And there's a lot of feelings that are valid to feel during this too. So for the next one, I'm gonna have Miss Rochelle read it off.
All right, everyone. So this one will allow you to rank your familiarity with each of these college-related topics. So how familiar are you with UC personal insight questions, asking for letters of recommendation, understanding admissions SAT policies, ACT and SAT policies, financial aid and scholarships, and then finally costs of senior year. You will rank 1 if you are not familiar with it. You will rank 5 if you are very familiar with it. So we'll go ahead and give you all a moment to input your answers and we will see. So the highest right now is asking for letters of recommendation, and the lowest is the cost of senior year. A little increase for PIQs and letters of rec. We'll give it a couple more moments. All right, it seems like things have, oh, I spoke too soon. Things are shifting still. PIQs is almost caught up to asking for letters of rec. Cost of senior year is still very low. Okay, cool. If you all kind of took note of which ones were ranked low for you, please make sure you pay special attention to that section today. Hopefully, let's try to bring those scores up for the ones that kind of ranked low. But we will transition back into the presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Rochelle. So we're going to go straight into what can you start doing now. So for our first one is focusing on finishing out this distance learning year strong and making sure that you have the grades to be eligible to apply to college. So if you're applying to any 4-year colleges like CSUs, UCs, private schools, you should make sure that you don't have any Ds or Fs. And if you do have a failing grade, try and retake them this summer or in the fall of your senior year if you cannot take them this summer. And then check in with yourself or your counselor if you do have any concerns about which classes you should be retaking or when you should be retaking them. If you have incomplete grades, make sure that you complete all of your assignments or work that you need for that grade to be a passing grade. And then make sure that you're on track to complete those A through G requirements, because again, those are necessary to make yourself eligible to apply to CSUs and UCs. If you are taking AP exams, I know that there have been this month and are going into the next few weeks still, make sure that you're studying for those and taking those AP tests. And then as far as planning for the summer, if you can, make sure that you get involved with either summer sessions, if you're an EAOP, or volunteer with different opportunities, or work, or really do anything that sparks your interest to prepare for the summer and to put onto your application. And then for the fourth thing that you can do right now is taking care of yourself and staying up to date with everything that's happening. This year has been really difficult, and as a lot of y'all said, you're overwhelmed already at the thought of starting to apply to colleges because of how heavy this year has been. So definitely making sure that you have the space to take care of yourself and relax and reset during the summer so that you can go in to application season ready to go and prioritizing your well-being. As far as COVID and admissions, this is a quick overview of all of the school systems and what the minimum eligibility requirements are for them. So for CSUs, the minimum GPA that you need to apply to those is a 2.5 GPA. And then next year, the SAT or the ACT is not required for you to apply to that school. And then you will be doing an EOP essay and letters of rec if you are eligible to apply to EOP. So keep in mind that you'll do an online application filling out things like your grades, some income things, other just like general information about yourself. And then if you're applying to EOP, which if you're eligible, we definitely recommend that you do, you're going to be writing some short essays and then asking a few teachers for letters of rec. And then for UCs, you need to have Cs or better again in your grades, but the minimum GPA for UCs is a 3.0 GPA. And then again, they're not requiring SATs or ACTs for this upcoming cycle. And you will have to write 4 PIQs, and PIQ stands for personal insight questions, which are basically personal statements or personal essays that you will be submitting to the school, along with just their online application as well. For private or out-of-state schools, again, making sure that you have those Cs or better in your classes, and the requirements for them vary. So if you're interested in applying for a private school like a USC or a Stanford, they have different testing requirements, different GPA requirements. Some of them require letters of recommendation, some of them require supplemental essays, and a lot of the times they could be on different platforms as well. So make sure that you're looking into that this summer, into what those requirements are for colleges. And then as far as community colleges, you need to make sure that you graduate high school, and then there is no SAT or ACT test required and no essay requirement. You just need to complete their online application and orientation and a few extra steps with that as well. So a quick check for understanding in the chat, go ahead and put true or false Standardized testing like the SAT and ACT is required during the fall 2021 application cycle for CSUs and UCs. Is that true or false? All right, I see a lot of y'all said false. Correct. They are not requiring them for the CSUs and UCs next year. Now we're going to go over a quick summer to-do list, so what you can start to do this summer to prepare for the upcoming application season. So with the thing is writing down and making sure that you are keeping track of your extracurriculars. It's not just clubs that you're a part of at school or leadership positions that you've taken on, but it also can mean home help. So if you've been supporting your family around the house extra during the pandemic or caring for your siblings or other family members, that can also be on your college application. Another thing that you can put on is concurrent enrollment. So if you have taken community college classes over the summer or this past school year, making sure that you have that written down and you know exactly what classes you took. Put those on your app. And then for virtual opportunities, if you did have an online internship or you're going to have an online internship this upcoming summer, or anything that you have done on social media with relating to those virtual opportunities, making sure that you have that written down or you have that lined up for this summer as well. And then work, if you do have a job, again, that can be included in your extracurriculars as well. And we also would like to note that colleges do understand that you've been limited by what you're able to participate in for extracurriculars, like your sports, clubs, competitions, or any other in-person opportunities. So there are a lot of different ways that you can highlight different extracurriculars that aren't necessarily those things that we thought were extracurriculars before the pandemic. And then when you're thinking about creating your college list and choosing a college, that is something that you can begin to research this summer. So set aside some time this summer to think about the type of school you envision yourself going to and applying to. So how much are you willing to pay for that school? The cost, what is the average cost of attendance? How much aid do they normally give? What scholarships do they have available to you? And all of that is something that you can definitely begin researching this summer. Another thing is distance. So how far away is it and how far away are you willing to go? Some people prefer to stay close to their families, whereas others prefer to go really, really far away and try something new. So see what you're comfortable with and what you want to do when it comes to college. The next option is transportation. So how easy is it to get to and from your school? Would it require you to fly home for the holidays? Could you drive up every weekend? And what are you comfortable with and what do you want to do? The last thing here is, what about the area? Does the environment and having things around your school matter to you? Or do you want to be in a more calm and not as populated area? Definitely think about what you want for the college and location.
All right.
Yeah.
Is this my part? Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think so. Sorry, it's Edith. All right, y'all. So for your college applications, a huge part of it is collecting information from high school. So during this time, we highly encourage you to pull together that information. Things that you will be asked to report are your family guardian information, such as their jobs, degrees, residency. You'll also be providing extensive information on anything else that you've done outside of academics. So extracurriculars, sports, jobs, clubs, internships, volunteering, etc. Of course, grades, academics are items that need to be reported as well. So test scores too, even ones on AP exams. All right, so we have a resource to share with you all. The link is there and will be dropped in the chat. I know it can feel overwhelming not knowing where to begin and not knowing all the information you need to pull, but this resource will have everything that you could possibly need. It is called a College Success Plan. If you are an EAOP, no need to worry about this. You already have your own copy of it. If you don't have access to it for whatever reason, reach out to your college advisors. However, if you are a non-cohort student, open up that doc, go to File, make a copy so that you have a copy for yourself. So all the information such as your grades, test scores, and involvements will be asked of you, and that sheet will outline everything for you. So that being said, do yourself a favor over the summer and start filling out all of that information on your CSP. All right, so check for understanding. In the chat, what are some things to consider when you are researching colleges you want to apply to and potentially attend? Miss Edith listed off a few things. So if one of them struck a chord with you, go ahead and list it in the chat. See transportation, costs, area, location. Great. Perfect. Thanks, y'all. We will move on to the next slide. So cost of senior year. And before that, we wanted to give a quick disclaimer. So these costs might shift depending on what next year will look like. So this is just a ballpark estimate. Obviously, costs fluctuate depending on your school as well. So just keep that in mind and know that it's subject to change. All right, so average cost of senior year. On your left, you will see college app costs. On your right, you will see social costs. Again, the overall cost will be dependent on the things that you do, so just allocate your money accordingly. On the college app costs, you'll notice that some of them, or actually all of them, are denoted with an asterisk. The asterisk means that the cost could be waived if you qualify for free and reduced lunch. So if you qualify for it, just know that you could get a fee waiver. All right, the next topic is college enrollment costs. So we talked about the senior year costs. What about the college related costs? On the screen, you'll see enrollment, orientation, and housing along with the range of amounts. If you decide to attend a 4-year college, these costs are generally expected of you during the spring semester, which is the same time as prom and graduation. So knowing that, plan accordingly because that can get a bit expensive during the spring. Usually these fees are required before your financial aid kicks in, meaning that you have to pay out of pocket. However, sometimes it can be waived, but no guarantees. Definitely allocate accordingly, knowing this information. Other thing, many of these fees are non-refundable. So once you pay it, you will not get it back. All right, so fee waivers, lots of text on this screen, right? But don't think you need to have everything memorized. It's just an outline of the possible fee waivers that you can receive. The main takeaway is that most fee waivers require you to be enrolled in free or reduced lunch. So do yourself a favor. When we get back in person next school year, complete your free and reduced lunch application ASAP. You will thank yourself later when you are trying to get the college app fee waivers from your counselor in October, November, whenever, right? And you've already completed your free and reduced lunch application back in August. So now that you know that there is one step to get a fee waiver, try to knock it out as soon as you can. And we also have the budget sheet on your CSP. So you will see it all the way towards the bottom, just so that you can kind of allocate money according to the different costs. All right, finally, check for understanding. What is the criteria for obtaining a fee waiver? What do you need to fill out to get a fee waiver? I just mentioned it, and then you can drop it in the chat. Free and reduced lunch, perfect. Thanks so much, y'all. All right, so to humanize the senior year process, we invited some of our WCC USD seniors to elaborate on their experiences this school year. So we will go ahead and get all the panelists spotlighted, I believe. All right, so and then Mara and then Nayeli as well. Unfortunately, our CC panelist wasn't able to come through today. So if you want to get in touch with a community college student, please check in with your advisor. Unfortunately, we weren't able to have them represented today. And then Nayeli as well for the spotlight. Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. So we will kick off in the order of, I believe, Nayeli, and then Mara and Suchita. The first question that we have for you all is, what is your name? What are your pronouns? What high school do you attend? What was your college decision? And then intended major.
So my name is Nayeli Banda, and my pronouns are she and her. The high school that I go to is Richmond High, and I did decide to go to San Francisco State, and I intend to major in social work.
My name is Mara, and my pronouns are she, her. I go to El Cerrito High School, and I will be attending Stanford University in the fall, studying management, science, and engineering, but I'm pretty much undecided, so.
Hi, my name is Suchita. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I go to El Cerrito High School. I will be attending UC Berkeley this fall with an intended major in public health.
Thank y'all for answering that. So we're just going to transition right into y'all giving some advice for our upcoming juniors. So what do you all wish that someone would have told you about your senior year, or what should students really watch out for that you didn't really expect?
I think something I wish someone would have told me was probably about the workload and decision making. It was really hard for me to make a decision on which college to go to.
I was actually advised about how many different applications there will be and how many different deadlines, but in action, like, it's something I wish I would have thought more about ahead of time. Like, there's so many unfamiliar applications, the FAFSA application, the CSS profile, I didn't even know that was a thing until like 2 days before the deadline. So definitely familiarize yourself with the applications that you'll need to complete and stay ahead of the deadlines and just really try to be on top of it. It can all be really overwhelming, but yeah, staying on top of deadlines and unfamiliar applications.
For sure. I'd say that like something I wish someone told me was that senior year is not the easiest year. I don't know who told me that, but yeah, everyone talks about how junior year is the hardest year, but I'd say senior year is, because you have to be on top of like your AP classes, AP tests, and still work on like college apps, scholarships, and like all of that. So definitely like plan early and make sure you try to like start your college apps over the summer, that so that you don't have to like worry about it too much and you can kind of enjoy your senior year.
Thanks so much for sharing about that, y'all. So different deadlines, yes. Workload, yes. All very valid things to share about senior year. What advice would you give for current juniors preparing for senior year? And any advice for this summer and the final month of this school year?
I think probably researching colleges, not waiting till the last minute because deadlines do occur. And also, I think in the summer, really like looking for where you believe you belong, because your life changes really quick after senior year and it's gone just like that. So I think just researching colleges and where you see yourself in the future.
My biggest piece of advice would be to do as much as you can before your senior year starts. So get those essays out of the way, like at least a first draft, because your senior year will go by super fast. Like the UC application deadline, it just came super quick. And I had started in June on my essays through the EAOP summer college app program. And so even with that, I still found myself like struggling to perfect my essays. So I would say, start as soon as you can, like get as much done in the summer. If you have like classes to make up for or anything like that, like really take advantage of the time that you do have.
What Mara said. Definitely go to senior seminar because it really helped me like get started on my essays, because I don't think I would have like started by myself if I didn't get that extra push. And I also joined this program called NAV to Cal, which was like current UC Berkeley students who helped high school students do like the college application process one-on-one. So that was something that was really helpful for me. So yeah, and find opportunities now that you may be interested in, whether that be like internships or extra classes or research, so that you can kind of get an edge and kind of like gauge out the interest that you want to explore.
So a lot of of what they're saying is to plan in advance, right? Get started in the summer, because senior year happens so fast and it goes by so fast, and then it's deadline after deadline after deadline until you're done, right? So getting started early is what I'm hearing. So with that, how did you all learn to balance your activities and academics alongside all of your college, financial aid, and scholarship application? Was I muted? No. Okay.
I think it was really hard for me to balance all that, especially during the pandemic. And something that I was really taught at my school was to do mindfulness and just keep your mental health number one priority. So I think anytime I felt very stressed out about anything, I would just go back to my mindfulness and mental health. And I would keep things organized, slowed myself down, slow my pace, and wrote down everything I had to do, and actually put in detail like what date, what time anything was due, or any activities that I had, and of course the deadlines, and slowly do my application slowly, not just in one full day. And I think just doing your own pace is perfect, and as well keeping your mental health number one.
Yeah, I agree with that like 100%. I had to like personally, we were like virtual, right? And so Tuesdays were usually asynchronous. So I would pick out one day of the week. For me, it was Tuesday, where I just didn't do anything, but the other days I would like pile everything on. So Sundays I would do schoolwork, but it's really like a lot of time management. I would like plan out my meetings with Ms. Rochelle, who's the EC advisor. I would plan them out a month ahead of time so that I would like hold myself accountable for completing like my UC applications or my Common App application, because they're really difficult, especially if you don't really have anyone in your family or any friends that have been in through that process. So you really need to rely on the resources that you do have. And I relied on Ms. Rochelle a lot.
Same. Yeah, I definitely went to like every single office hours that Miss Rochelle had like every week, because I didn't have any support from my family who could like help me out with all the complicated stuff that college applications deal with. So yeah, I would do that, and I'd like write down all the questions that I had for her beforehand so that we can talk about it when I got there. And I also started being like really cynical about how I spent my days. I kept like a schedule on Google Calendar, and I'd write like little tasks that I had to do throughout the day. So that way I didn't forget any like important deadlines and knew how to spend my like time each hour of the day. And I even set time for like Netflix or activities to kind of, keep my mental health in check. And yeah.
I love all of that. Yes, right? Well, first off, Write things down. The power of to-do list is real. Like crossing it off, you feel a sense of accomplishment, right? And you hold yourself accountable to getting those things done. The other thing that I loved hearing about was planning things out ahead of time. Yes, your college advisors will be there in September, so they don't want to be meeting you during college app season in November. Make yourself known, drop in, say, hey, I want to apply to these schools. So just to get that conversation started and so that you can make sure that you're, adequately supported during your senior year. But I loved hearing all of that. And yes, I did see Suchita and Mara every single week. So use your advisor as a resource. The next question is, how did you go about making your college decision?
I was having a little difficulty there. It was really hard for me to make my college decision because I didn't know where I wanted to go. I didn't want to go far from home, but at the same time, I wanted to get the major that I wanted, and San Francisco State had it. So I just had to make the choice between what is convenient for my education, my future, compared to what I wanted, which was stay home. So I had to pick San Francisco State. And also I ended up finding out that I actually have like clubs and activities that I could like doing there. And also I love the city and I haven't really discovered it fully. So I'm excited about that too.
Yeah, a big thing for me was distance from home. So I didn't really look at too many schools that were out of California at all. Other than like I applied to Harvard, but for me it was really choosing between Stanford and Berkeley. And I was fortunate enough to not have to worry about the finances. So my decision was more about the individual school and which one felt right for me. So it was just about feeling like I had always kind of known where I wanted to go. And so I chose Stanford over Berkeley. But Berkeley's still amazing. Like it was hard to make that decision. Like, don't get me wrong.
Well, I made my decision based on like my major, research opportunities, financial aid, and location because I wanted to stay close to home too. And not a lot of schools have the public health major, but UC Berkeley like has the top program. So I knew I could get a great education and like networking opportunities there, and also like do research because that's also something that I was interested in. And with the area being the Bay, I know I can get like clinical experiences for medical school as a pre-med student and still try out like a lot of my other interests. So that's why I chose Berkeley.
So what I'm hearing a lot is location played a big part in their decisions, finances, and as well as what they're going to study, right? So what they're going to college to study played a big role in that, but also like a gut decision, like Mara was saying. So definitely keeping all of that into account. So I know that Mara and Suchita already mentioned that they went to Rochelle a lot for support every single week, but in what other ways did your college advisor play in supporting you throughout your senior year? And do you have any recommendations for current juniors?
So Miss Edith, she helped me a lot. And when I mean a lot, I mean she mostly did everything for me. I just didn't know, I was completely lost. And Miss Edith was just there helping me out, explaining everything to me. And so I think she was like my mom in a way because I don't have anybody that went to college. So it was a lot easier to have somebody who already went through that path help you out. Um, and I think having an advisor is just the best thing in the world because they help you with your college application and planning, and also just figuring out where you really fit in. Like they ask you questions as well that you may not even have yourself, ask yourself. So I think it's amazing to have a college advisor. And I think it's best to have them in junior year and not just wait until your senior year. So I just think it's important to have it earlier because I've had one since I was a freshman. And I think that really helped me understand where I wanted to go and not be completely lost. But again, like once it's time to apply, it gets very overwhelming that you just want to go stay in a corner and just cry alone because you're just completely lost. And I think Miss Edith really helped me with that.
So as I was saying earlier, like I reached out to Miss Rochelle as soon as I heard that she was coming to EC. Like I emailed her as soon as I saw her Instagram post and all that. So she helped me a lot with not just college applications, but I was like applying to Quest Bridge, which is a really cool opportunity if anybody's interested. To talk to you more about that. Also like scholarship applications and putting me on with financial resources and scholarships. Like she'd send them all the time. And interview prep, which was a really big thing that I had never done, but Mr. Shell was there for that too. And then whenever I got like a major achievement, I always wanted to tell Mr. Shell first.
Same. She was so amazing in my college application process. I had so many questions that like I couldn't get answered by just searching it up or like asking my family members or anyone else. So I'd always go to her about like applying for financial aid, applying for scholarships, because some of the scholarships, they just have a bunch of stuff on the application, but they wouldn't really go into detail. And when I asked Miss Rochelle, she always had the answers. And if she didn't have the answers, she'd ask somebody to find the answers. And I thought she was so amazing for that. And every time I had an achievement, like Mara said, I'd go to her too. So some advice that I give juniors is to definitely like have your questions prepared beforehand and then go to office hours like every week and even schedule like one-on-ones because she's a great resource to have. And I think her insight really encouraged me to stay motivated in the whole process. And when I felt anxious about how I would do at Berkeley, she even reached out to her friends who studied public health at Berkeley. And yeah, I was able to network and ask them questions too. So yeah.
Thanks, y'all. But yes, we are here for you. Your college advisors are here for you. So don't play yourself. Reach out early, have your questions prepared. They're here as a resource. And if they don't have the answer, they'll get in touch with people to get you the answer. I see a question from the audience. The question is, did you do campus tours? How did you narrow down which schools to apply to? We can go in any order. If anyone has the answer, they're welcome to go first.
I can go. Well, I didn't do college tours in person because of the pandemic, but something I did do was I went to like the meetings that the schools would host, the Zoom meetings, and I'd go on like their virtual tours on their websites. And that kind of like gave me a feeling of what the school looked like, about like the opportunities there and stuff. And I think that's something that really helped me make my decision. And I went to like PCA for Berkeley, Pre-College Academy, which was through EAOP. So I kind of knew how Berkeley was before that.
Yeah, it was similar for me. I did Upward Bound. So with Upward Bound, I had like I did the residential program where we stayed on UC Berkeley's campus, and that really familiarized me with UC Berkeley, as well as like a bunch of college tours through it. And that really made me see, like, even if I didn't go to the same school, I would be in like the area, so I would know which area felt best for me. But a lot of narrowing down my college decision was like which aligned more with what I want to do in college, and I don't know what I want to do in college. So it was Stanford for me because it was like they have a lot of opportunities for students who are undecided. Like you can go between a bunch of majors, and it's like they they want that for students to explore a bunch of different colleges and a bunch of different fields. And so that's what it was for me. But I know a lot of students choose it on majors that are aligned with what they want. And so like, if you already know exactly what you want, like really focus on the colleges that provide the best education for that field.
Thank y'all for answering that. And then I did see that Miss Stephanie dropped a few virtual tour links in the chat. So that's something that y'all can definitely be doing this summer, or even now, just clicking those and clicking through those campuses and seeing which looks like it's the best fit for you. We do have another question, but I also would like to note that if anybody else does have questions, feel free to just drop them in the chat. We're in the Q&A section, so just drop them and we can have them answered. So the next question that we have somebody asking is, how did you ask for your letters of recommendations, or how did you ask your recommenders for letters of recommendation? And then I'll drop it in the chat for y'all too.
Well, so I asked some teachers that I get along with very well to be my recommenders. I think it just was naturally, I just asked them if they could just be my recommenders and if they had time, and explained to them the requirements, because sometimes when you ask for recommendations, they ask you to have it in a specific form and signed properly by the school. And so I just explained to them what I wanted to do, and also I give them an idea of what I give them a detailed idea of what I'm applying to, so they can incorporate any factors that include me in it. So if I was doing like an internship about cooking, they wouldn't talk about my arts and crafts, like they'll talk about my professionalism. So I would just give them details, a little bit of what they should be including in their recommendation letter.
I asked two teachers that I had had for a very long time. So it was teachers that knew me and that I knew them very well, like teachers that I'd go to their office hours and stuff like that. So, I mean, you definitely don't want it from a stranger, but at the same time with virtual learning, it's difficult to make those connections. So like, go to office hours would be my biggest tip, and just try to gain a connection with teachers. A lot of scholarships will ask for like an outside one from a community organization as well, or like a club or activity that you're in. So that's something to keep in mind too. But definitely be very like kind when you're asking, because you are asking them to take their time to write about you. Another thing that El Cerrito does specifically, I'm sure a lot of other schools do too, is they give you like a senior profile thing to complete over the summer. And that helps the teachers that you're asking for recommendations to like get to know you and like what you've done, even if it's something that they wouldn't have known just from your conversations with them.
Yeah, I also made like a senior brag sheet. So you can get that from like the Google Classroom if you go to EC. And on the bottom, in addition to that, I kind of wrote specific things that I did in their class, or like reminded them of some characteristics that I might have showcased in their class, to kind of remind them just in case they forgot, because the teachers that I asked, I've only had them for like a year, but they were teachers that I had talked to. Like I went to their AP review sessions if I didn't go to their office hours, and they kind of knew like where I was academically and personally. So yeah, and when I emailed them, I was very polite. I thanked them. I said, please, so you really want to do that, because they are taking out a lot of the time of their day writing you letters of rec, and other people as well. So that's something that I did.
All right, so one of the things I heard was the senior brag sheet or the senior profile. If you have time this summer, I think that's another item to really work on. So we talked about filling out the extracurriculars. You might find that you can just copy and paste that information on your senior profile. So when you ask for a letter of rec, you go ahead, and they say yes, of course, you go ahead and give them your senior profile just so they have all the context to know about you. And as Suchita said, make sure you say thank you. It does take a lot of time and energy to really write quality letters of recommendation. So make sure you say thank you to them. The next question that I received was, what advice do you have for low-income students regarding college affordability? what advice do you have for low-income students regarding college affordability?
Well, being a resident from Richmond already tells you that we're low income. And I think I was really scared to apply to college because I was thinking about loans and debt. And I was like, my parents cannot afford that. Um, and especially with the pandemic, I was very uncertain if I would even be able to go to college because of the money wise for me. And I think that's a big struggle for low income families. They think that you're gonna have to pay thousands of dollars, and realistically, like there's help, there's financial aid, there's scholarships, and there is loans, and at least they don't. I think depending on which loan you get, they don't charge you interest, so you can pay it back once you get your degree. You don't have to stress about it right then and there. And yes, the Richmond Promise Scholarship is also, but unfortunately I couldn't qualify because I lived in San Pablo. So yeah, it was really unfair. but um, but honestly, like there's many scholarships that you can apply to. Financial aid is available, and I think I was really scared of that. But honestly, so far what I'm noticing is I think I'll be all right for my 4 years.
Yeah, I'm also a low income student. And so that's also something that me and my family were worried about. But as a low income student, it just means you're going to have to work harder. You're going to have to put in the time to, get those fee waivers for yourself, advocate for yourself, put the time in, like do as many scholarships as you can. As a low income student, that's probably going to come with having more responsibilities than the typical student, like working and stuff like that. So if you can save up, save, but that's most likely not as accessible. But definitely means you're going to have to work harder and get as many scholarships as you can. And appeal your financial aid that you get if it's not something that you can afford, and explain your situation thoroughly. I'm just saying it's going to be like more work, definitely, in having to explain your situation time and time again, but it'll benefit you in the long run if you don't have to take out those loans and stuff.
I would say definitely apply to scholarships early. That's something that I didn't really do because I thought that I wouldn't win. And so I just kind of applied to the local ones, but the deadlines are usually like later after January. So I'd say like start looking out for them towards like the end of summer, because there are some national or like state ones that you can still apply to, because you never know. Who knows? You might win them, you might not, but you can still apply. And one thing about applying to them early is you kind of know how much money you might get for them. If you're like me and you're making your decision based off of finances and don't really want to take out loans. So that way you know how much you're kind of getting, how much you're probably going to have to work over the summer. And also put yes for work study on your FAFSA when you're filling that out, because I heard it's a great opportunity and it's something that I look forward to doing in college as well.
Thank you all for responding. Plus what? Oh, plus. I was trying to read that number. Thank you all for responding to that. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of different scholarships and financial aid opportunities available for low income students. And it could really surprise you how much universities do give you when you are a low income student. So definitely don't let that deter you from applying. At least apply in the fall and then look at your financial aid decisions in the spring semester and then make your decision. Definitely don't apply because of financial circumstances in the fall. But that's basically everything. We're almost at 5 p.m. So if you all do have more questions, feel free to contact your advisors or any of these panelists. I'm sure they'd be happy to answer your questions. So definitely reach out to us if you do want to get contacted with one of them, or just reach out to your advisors to ask us more questions or for support in this last week. So do you have anything to add, Ms. Rochelle? before we close off?
We're here for you. So check in early next school year, finish this school year strong, and we're really excited to support you during your senior year.
Yes. Thank you all for coming.